North Korea has fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles into the sea. That's after Kim Jong-un claimed his country has miniature nuclear warheads that can be mounted on ballistic missiles. South Korea has announced a crackdown on people and companies linked to the North's weapons program. And even Pyongyang's ally China has followed through on the sanctions the UN Security Council passed last week. Nicholas Morgan has the latest.
North Korea is on the brink of losing one of its closest allies. A frustrated China wants Pyongyang to end its provocations.
The current situation on the peninsula is complicated and sensitive. All sides should stop all provocative words and actions to avoid the situation becoming more tense.
And Beijing is following up its words with actions against North Korea.
No, I just think that if the North Koreans continue with these provocations and continue ramping up the rhetoric, they're going to come under a lot of pressure from China.
Meanwhile, North Korea says it plans to liquidate all South Korean assets inside the country.
We will liquidate all the properties of business groups in the south and relevant organs in the north side as the South Korean puppet group unilaterally and totally stopped the tour of Mount Kumgang and operation of Kaesong Industrial Zone.
North Korea's threat to shutter South Korean projects is in response to a series of unilateral sanctions imposed by Seoul in recent days. These include blacklisting North Korean individuals and organizations, a ban on ships from North Korean ports, and Seoul is also suspending a project with Pyongyang on supplying Russian coal through the north. This all comes at a time when 17,000 US troops and 300,000 South Korean soldiers are holding their largest ever joint military exercise. South Korea says the annual exercises are necessary, given the North's behavior. North Korea's attempts to intimidate are now alienating its friends as well as its enemies. And if Pyongyang continues, it may find itself further isolated. Nicholas Morgan, TRT World.
Jung is in Seoul with more.
2 short-range ballistic missiles were fired from North Korea on Thursday morning local time. It flew about 500 kilometers before landing in the waters off the eastern coast of North Korea. These are believed to be Scud missiles. Also, North Korea just announced on Thursday that it would it would scrap all economic joint projects with South Korea and also liquidate any of the South Korean assets that were left behind in its own territory. Now, they're mainly talking about the joint Kaesong Industrial Complex and also the Mount Kumgang Resort, where tours were stopped in 2008. Now, South Korea's unification ministry responded by saying that should North Korea damage any of the precious South Korean assets, then North Korea would have to bear full responsibility. And also, this also comes as the United States and South Korea are conducting their largest ever military exercise on the Korean Peninsula. These are annual, and such rhetoric from North Korea, as well as its short-range missile provocations, are seen as routine whenever South Korea and the U.S. conduct their annual military drills on the Korean Peninsula. But this time around, you can see that the DPRK is responding as this comes following the UN Security Council's harshest resolutions, and we can see that these sanctions are in fact working. So we can also imagine that China, because China also banned a North Korean fighter from docking on one of its ports, and you can also see that China is also implementing the UN Security Council resolutions and taking them very seriously. So we'll have to wait and see how North Korea responds within the next few weeks as the US and ROK military exercises continue.